Hi and welcome to this new fabric build tutorial. Today we're going to make this colorful shirt from the Miko's M8198 pattern. This shirt is easy to make as the cuffs are elasticized and there's no button at the front. I used this stretch satin Lydia fabric. To make this shirt we're going to use the pattern, some pins, a safety pin, scissors, a marking pen, some 1 cm wide elastic, a piece of interfacing, thread, and of course some fabric. You can use cotton blends, poplin, or crepe. To start, I'm going to fold the fabric in two, pin the pieces of the pattern respecting the grain line, and cut the pieces out. Then I transfer the marking that will be useful to assemble the garment. I cut the collar pieces and the facing, front and back, also in interfacing. And I fuse these pieces. It's time to start sewing. I'm going to form and pin the back darts. And I stitch them. And I press the darts turned to the center. Now I lay the two front pieces right sides facing and I stitch the center seam between the markings and I press the seam open. I lay the two collar pieces right sides together and I stitch the exterior edges. I trim the seam allowances and the corners. I turn it right side out before pressing it. I lay the back piece on the front right sides together and I'm going to stitch at shoulders and at sides. Previously, I've serged the edges using a zigzag stitch. And I press the seams open. I also stitch the facing front piece to the back at shoulders and at the center front below the marking. And I press the seams open. Next, I'm going to stay stitch the neck edge between the markings on the bodice and on the facing. Now I pin the collar to the right side of the neck edge, respecting the markings, and I baste it. And now I lay the facing on top of the collar, right side facing down, and I pin it. The collar is taken in sandwich between the bodice and the facing. I pin and I stitch from one marking around the collar and to the other marking. I clip at corners and I turn the facing to the inside. And I tack the facing in place at seams. Before pressing it. Now let's make the sleeves. I've pasted two parallel lines between the sleeve cap notches and I'm going to pull on the thread to gather the edge. I'll adjust these gathers later when I will pin the sleeve to the armhole. I fold the sleeve in two, right side inside, and I stitch the side seam. And I press the seam open. Now I'm going to form the casing for the elastic. I turn in 6 mm on the bottom edge, I press, then I fold in a second time on the marked fold line and I press again. I stitch close to the folded edge, leaving an opening for the elastic. I cut a piece of elastic using the pattern guide. I insert it in the casing using a safety pin. And I stitch the ends together, then close the opening. Now I can pin the sleeve to the armhole. I start by matching the side seams, then I adjust the gathers and I pin the sleeve to the armhole matching the markings. And I stitch. Then I insert the edges together using a zigzag stitch. To finish, I press the bottom hem, including the front ties, and I stitch a narrow hem. Arriving at the center seam, I pivot and stitch across the seam. And our shirt is done. I hope you liked the tutorial. Enjoy your sewing and see you soon!